Okay, so I'm going to talk about project management, animation production, and film production, and how to organize a team to work on a project, and how to keep everything organized so that production can go smoothly and with a smaller amount of uh, problems that can come up when you have a team that has to coordinate. Okay, so um, all production um, starts with a screenplay. So, in this sample, this is a project we will do in the studio, and it's a short film. It's sort of a uh, a mock um, uh, short film slash commercial. Okay, and the script is about, let's see, how many pages is this thing? The script is about, I got 4 pages, 4.5, 3.5 pages basically. Actually, one, two, three, yeah, 3.5 pages. And I thought for a second there I was counting the title page, but no. Um, so here's what we got. Here's what the screenplay looks like. And in this case, it's a very simple project, um, but not to be fooled. Because there's always something slightly complicated, and no matter what you do, you have to organize it. And the better you do that, the faster it will go, the happier everyone is. And there's pizza at the end, so that's always a good thing. All right, so now, um, so let's start here with what are the steps. So the first thing is we have a screenplay, and on this real time board here, if you click on this, this actually is the screenplay, and you can cycle it through the pages. It will take a while to load, but you can do that. You can also download it. You can also extract the pages. So there's the first page there, right? It took a minute to load, but it's a good tool to have here if you want, or you can just use the PDF file like this, right? Okay, so now let's go through these steps. I will go through them real briefly, then I'll go into detail. So the first thing you do is you break down the script, right? And that basically is going to be finding out what is in the script that we need to make, and what assets are there. So that's what breaking down the script is. It's making lists of everything, and two, or at least identifying everything. And then you make a list of the scenes, characters, and props. So we're making a list of the assets. And then step 3 is to create strip boards. And now a strip board is coming from the old school film approach, which literally are these cardboard strips that you fill out and have information about each scene on them. So there's one strip for each scene in the script. So if you look here at the script, you'll see there's scenes, right? Well, you'd have a strip board for every scene. And inside those strip boards are information that you need to help organize your production. So that's where they started back in the days of paper and pencil, and these days everybody does it with software. And so this is what a software example looks like. It's got the scene numbers and what's in the scene, and I'll go into that later. So that is the step 3, create strip boards. Step 4 is organize the strip boards into a logical production sequence. I will go into more detail, as I said, but here's an example of my own strip boards that I made for the last project we were working on. And you can see it's basically my version of a strip board. And I have it in a certain sequence. You can move these around, and they follow a logical sequence based on what's in the scene and what we have to do. So I'll go into more detail there. And then the next thing is step 5, make a production chart for all assets. So basically break down the script, make lists of scenes. Break down the script, basically what I mean there is identifying everything, right? So you see how this ballet shoes is highlighted in bold. When a writer writes, many times he will bold the things that he knows will have to be broken down, right? But you may have to take it further and take things out of there, right? And so once you do that, it's actually 1 and 2 are kind of like part of the same thing. You're making lists. This you could say is identifying, or what they call tagging, the script. So that's kind of a bit maybe the wrong term there, because breaking down the script is actually taking all these things out of the script. But you need to do one before you can do the next one. They're kind of both together. You have to tag it and break it down and then make these lists. Now, for a big production, there is software that will help you make these lists automatically after you identify and tag these, which means to select them and then make lists out of them. So, but we don't need to do that for this tutorial, and this production is so small that we can just do it by hand, probably quicker. Okay, so without the use of software. So we got that's to create the strip boards. Then we got organize the strip boards into a logical production sequence, and then make a production chart for all the assets. So now there's a lot of ways you can make a production chart, but this is the kind that I like to make. It goes from left to right. It starts with, do we have the concept art? We sculpt and model, we topo, UV, textures, materials, on over into rigging, and so on and so forth. And in this case, we're doing this Unreal pipeline to go to Unreal, which may not be what we're doing here, but nonetheless, it shows the process that we're doing. I will go into detail later. And so here you can see on the left, I've got pictures of the assets that we're trying to get made, right? And in this case, some of them we have a sculpt, some of them we have only the concept art or a sculpt also, right? So so that's that. So that's make a production chart for all assets. So once you have the sequence you want to go in and the production chart, now you can start producing. So the production steps, these are production steps, not pre-production anymore. So the production steps are assign work to artists and put their names on the production chart. So it's pretty simple. So you can see over here we have a place to put the names of the people who will be working on different parts of the production. Sometimes it'll be the same guy doing the whole thing, and other times it might be someone else working on parts of it. For example, rigging, there might be rigging that's needed, and so you'd have a different artist working on, like in this case, Pi is working on rigging, Nut is working on the low poly stuff, right? So that's that. So once we have all that assigned, then the second step is to manage the sequence of steps for each asset. So basically make sure the artists have what they need, make sure the sequence of production keeps people busy. So let's look at an example of that. Actually, I'll go into more detail on that later, but as you can see, I have this organized in such a way that we can have two parallel things happening for an asset. Down here we got the low poly production going, and up here we have the high quality production going, so that when we can start animating before we're done with the high quality asset. So I'll go into more detail there later. Okay, and so then step 3 is update the production chart with progress. So I have places on the production chart to show, is it done, is it in progress, and so on. And as it's going down, we can follow this. And this helps us look at the, by being able to look at the production chart and see the status of things, and see who's been doing what and where they are. It will help us manage it more efficiently. Even though it really goes in slow motion, since it takes so long to do stuff, it's good to track it as it's going along. Okay, so now there another reason for that, by the way, is sometimes you might have somebody is finished with something early and they're waiting for someone else to do the next thing, or they're assigned to do a later step and someone else is working on something, right? So you might think, well, okay, this guy is waiting for that, maybe I can put him on something else, right? So there's a lot of ways you can use that to organize what you're doing. Okay, so so then make sure the sequence of production steps keeps people busy. So I'll go into more detail of things about that. Okay, step 3, update the production chart with progress. I already covered that. And step 4, help solve problems to keep assets moving through the pipeline. Now that could be anything. It could be bugs in the software. It could be somebody's confused about something. It could be they're spending too much time doing something they shouldn't be doing. It could be any number of things. And it could be that they don't have what they need, like they don't have the concept art, they're waiting. There could be any number of things that need to get sorted out. And if a person, sometimes an artist will sit there and try to solve something by himself, and you ask, well, what's been going on for the last day? Well, I've been trying to deal with this bug, and I can't get this thing to work. Well, okay, so that maybe what we need to do is not try to fix that bug, because that's not going to happen. And we need to come up with a workaround or some other way to do something. All right, so that's basically what managing the production board is, the production chart, and keeping people busy, handling the bugs, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's going to conclude this video. In the next video, I'm going to take each one of these things in a lot more detail.